Hi everyone, it's Autumn, your writing mentor. And now that we're about halfway through Module 6, I just wanted to touch base with you about a few things, starting with talking about your problem solution proposal drafts. Now, those are due tonight in Module 6. You'll submit those. And after you do that, please be sure that you also submit another copy of your problem solution proposal drafts under the area in Module 6 for peer reviews. I know there were some problems last time at peer reviews, some technical difficulties. There was also a few user errors that resulted in some of the issues that some of you were having. So that's why it's really important that you upload a copy of your proposal there as well. That will trigger Canvas to release your 2 peer reviews. And as long as your proposal draft is uploaded, whoever gets you to give a review to will also be able to access your materials and give you your proposal in turn. All that information is already in that part of the module that discusses turning that in, so be sure to read over that if you have more questions on that. But the point of this video really is to go over a few key areas that some of you have been having questions or challenges with now that we're winding down the semester. Just want to go over those as you're polishing up these proposals and going further along with them. So we'll get started with that. So the three key ideas that I wanted to go over shortly with you guys in this video are audience, thesis, and APA format. Now, these have been some areas where some of you have been struggling a bit or have some concerns about, so we'll just take a little time to go through these. Okay, so first I want to talk about audience. Now, your audience for this problem solution proposal needs to be a targeted individual, and that cannot be someone who is a classmate, the professor, or even me, your writing mentor. And this may be the first time you've had to write something like this, so it might be a little bit new. That's okay. Just be sure that when you're thinking about who your targeted individual is, that it's someone who can truly act on your proposed solution for your problem. So someone who actually would care to hear about the proposal, the solution, and the problem, and would have the power to do something with the solution that you bring to them. So I am thinking of one of the example papers and proposals that were back from the beginning of the semester where someone was proposing putting in play equipment in a centralized, safe, green area in their apartment complex because there were no safe places for children to play. Their target audience was the rental management of the apartment complex. So that head office, those people who manage the property, like the landlord, they would be able to do something with that idea. So just keep in mind it needs to be a targeted individual related to your topic that could physically do something with your solution. Okay, so the second one that I want to go over, thesis. A thesis should be no more than 2 sentences max if you even need a second sentence. So very short. It should not be, your entire introduction should not be your thesis statement. Thesis statement typically comes at the end of your introduction, and it prepares your audience for, in this case, your problem and shows the solution to address it. So it needs to be very clear and concise. That's why we're saying 2 sentences max. And you'll notice here the word compass that I have linked at the second bullet. It goes to a video from one of the Writing Mentor Writing Studio resources. And it's someone going over in more depth thesis statements, how to craft them, and the girl in the video uses a really interesting metaphor comparing a paper to a forest. So the thesis statement should act as the compass to guide your reader through your paper, through that forest. So that's a little bit of a different way of looking at it. If you're still not quite sure, I definitely recommend checking out that video and giving that different look a try. Okay, So lastly here, this is the big one that I know makes a lot of people cringe. It's APA format. I understand that it can be very overwhelming at first. It has a lot of little pieces from the literal formatting of the paper to things like title page, references, um, how you're formatting those references, but that's okay. Here you can see I've screenshotted the student sample paper from the source Purdue OWL, just to give you an overview briefly of that source they have there. You can see APA 7th edition student sample paper, showing their reference page here, and you can see how they have little comments linked to it. It's cut off in this picture, but I'm actually going to go to the Purdue OWL site now and walk through a little bit of it with you in case you haven't used it before. Okay, so here we are at the Purdue OWL homepage, and the link that I put in there, it takes you right to general format, which is the main area. And they start off with some general APA guidelines. I do want to bring your attention to where it says include a page header, also known as the running head. You no longer have to do this in a student paper. So right now, all of you are writing student papers. You're not doing a professional paper you're trying to publish. So they changed the guidelines. Student papers do not have to have that annoying running head that was such a pain to try to format. Someone made a good choice. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You scroll down, it talks about font, major paper sections, title page. So go through that at your leisure. Moving along now, I'm going to go over here to the left-hand side where they break down stuff even more. I want to show you in-text citations, the basics. So this page is really great if you're having questions or confusion about how to use in-text citations, what they should look like, where you should put them. They go over capitalization, quotes, formatting. They talk about how to format for short quotations, how you can integrate that into the sentence directly. They go over long quotations, which you're probably not using much of. We want you to say things in your own words as much as possible, but that is there should you ever come across that. If you have quotations from sources without pages, that happens quite a bit with online sources. So, for example, here you would count paragraphs rather than page numbers. And then here is a section on paraphrasing, which is going to be the majority of what you write. They talk about what those kind of in-text citations should look like and the various ways those can be done. Okay, I'm going to go back up here. And now you'll see they break down the reference list by the type of source. The ones you're going to use most often, probably books. You're thinking like textbook, or if you did use a book for one of your sources, that would be under this category. And then electronic sources, probably going to be another one that you use more, probably use even more than books. This is where you're going to find websites, even things like blogs or social media, how to make a reference for that in your reference page. And the favorite source type, journal articles, would be found under this category on the Purdue OWL page. So electronic sources, go on there. That's where you'll find how to do your references for web pages, and journal articles, which is going to be your most common sources. And you can see they also have audio-visual media. So I know some of you wanted to use videos or podcasts in this current project. You'd find how to do the references for that under this one. And then down here, they go into other things that probably don't concern you all as much for this paper, but are just good to be aware of as you go further along with your academic career. Okay, lastly, I want to go over the sample paper. So the first one that comes up, this is the one I took the screenshot of in the PowerPoint, is the APA 7 student paper. That's the only one you need to worry about. Don't worry about the professional paper. And this is a Word doc, so you can download this from Purdue OWL, refer to it as much as you want. What's really nice is it goes over every kind of section, piece, part you could ever have in your average APA student paper, and they include comments that explain it and break it down for you. So yeah, I know it's a little lengthy. I will not go through all of this in this video. Go through that again at your leisure, get what you need out of it. Really great resource. I know a lot of people always talk about Purdue OWL, but it really is a great resource for all things APA and MLA related. Okay, so one last thing that I do want to go over concerning APA concerns the reference page. Your sources have to be formatted with what's called the hanging indent, which is, you can see from this right here. This is a paper I wrote from a class a while ago. It's an APA format. You can see how the first line is all the way over at the margin, and then underneath it's shifted over. That's called a hanging indent. And my first one here, I took out of that format so I could walk you through how to do it. So first, what you're going to want to do is highlight the whole reference, the whole source here. Go over to this little arrow under paragraph. I believe if you have a Mac, it would be the equivalent of doing the double click or whatever right click equivalent is for a Mac. I have a PC, but some friends I've helped in the past with Macs, I believe it was whichever way you would right click will get you to paragraph. And you're going to want this tab here, indents and spacing. You're going to go here to indentation, over here where it says special, drop it down, go down to the third option, hanging. It should be 0.5 right here, and these should be 0 over here. Make sure that don't add space between paragraphs of the same style is always checked. That just gets rid of like extra spacing. Sometimes Word puts in by default, saves you a little bit of room. Not really anything too crazy, but this is how you're going to want to set your special hanging 0.5 indent. And you just click OK, and it moves it over and formats it. You can do them individually, or you can highlight all of them and do them all together at the end. And back to a little PowerPoint here. All right, so as I wrap up this video, I just want to remind all of you to check out the synchronous workshop information that is in this announcement that this video is embedded in. Please go through all of that and use that as you see best for yourself as you work on your project. So I hope to see many of you in these workshops.